Hi, my name is Carl Plesner. I am a restorative justice mediator and a certified trainer in nonviolent communication. I also train and teach students, teachers, parents, couples, and school children in restorative practice and conflict mediation. I want to talk about some perspectives in how to intervene in violent conflicts. I want to share an experience from my work as a restorative justice mediator with you. Some time ago, I worked with a family living in violence. The mother was a heavy drinking alcoholic, and the father was ill from long-time cancer. And their oldest daughter, 19 years old, she wanted change. So she went and talked to the police, asking for intervention, and I was connected to the case. And I'll use the process that followed to illustrate ways to intervene in this circle of violence and create a space for dialogue. And in my perspectives, the mechanisms are basically the same, no matter the size of the two sides in conflicts. First step in the intervention is to have some basic understanding of what motivates and fuels the circle of violence. When part A in a conflict experience someone doing or saying something that stimulates pain, distress, and anger, and if A has a red mindset, then A will be very likely to seek revenge and respond with retaliation and thereby feeding the circle of violence. So, what do I mean with a red mindset? I mean a mindset where you focus on these questions. Who is right and who is wrong? Who caused harm? What punishment do they deserve? What is wrong with them? How can I get revenge? And how can I get what I want despite their needs and values? And in this situation, the conflict looked like this. The first part is the mother getting very drunk and start yelling at the father and the children. She would scream at him that it was his fault that she lived such a misery life and that she hated him for destroying her life and joy. The father would put the children into a taxi to get them away as he tried to calm her down. She would then beat him up, weak as he was, because of cancer. So that was the first part of the circle of violence. The second part was the father and the daughter taking revenge. They did this by talking degrading to her the next morning when she woke up from her drunkenness. They basically humiliated her as hard and violent with words as possible. So they said that she was a horrible mother and a loser and that they hated her and wished she would leave and never come back. So that was their part of the circle of violence. She ended up getting drunk and beating anyone near to her in her desperate attempt to be heard for the pain, desperation, and sadness screaming inside her. She did the best she could to protect and restore her sense of justice and dignity that was so heavily violated by the humiliations from the father and the daughter. And the father and daughter also fought the very best they could to protect themselves and their dignity. And their humiliations were their way to express their pain and to try to restore their dignity and sense of justice in relation to her and her actions. And what a sad circle of violence. So, in my experience and understanding, all intentional use of violence is a tragic attempt of expressing pain and restoring dignity and justice. And if we, as mediators, with our intervention, succeed in pointing out other, more easy and rewarding ways to restore dignity and justice, then the parties in conflict will follow that way all by themselves. So, how do we do this? Okay, here's the next picture. We act and talk from the green mindset. The green mindset. Who is in pain? What are their needs? How can we meet their needs? How can I support empathy to grow? When we engage from a green mindset, we see all violent actions as way to express unmet needs, and then we seek to connect with these needs. When they all realize that their acts of violence is desperate attempts to meet their common shared unmet needs for understanding, care, and love, then they realizes the complete tragedy in the actions. So the process of intervention has 3 individual steps. First, I connect to each individual party in conflict. Here I talk with the mother alone, and then with the father and daughter alone. After that, they met and talked together in a room facilitated by me. They spoke rage and anger and pain. And slowly, as they had expressed themselves and started to listen to one another, they calmed down, and understanding and compassion replaced rage and hate. She talked about her broken dreams of being a caring mother and a woman who deserved love and care from her husband. The daughter talked about her longing for a mother that could support her in her journey toward becoming a young woman. She really missed a mother that would hold her with love and care when she was sad and crying and needed help and support. The father was expressing his sadness of not being strong enough and able to support the family as much as he wanted. He felt shame and sadness about that. And then it happened so beautifully. They themselves start talking about the next step. And that is their shared future together. They talked about how to get the mother into treatment and how they could ask other parts of the family for support and help. They also talked about how they could care for everyone's safety when she got drunk so no one would get beaten. The other side had disappeared. Now there were just them there, together, connected with their shared humanity. And this is the place where there is no other side to be in conflict with. This is the point. Good stuff. At this point in the mediation, I like to excuse myself and leave the room, and then as I slowly walk away, I hear their voices relaxed talking about how to restore their family in ways all of them can enjoy. Then I know my work is finished, and I drive home with a tear of appreciation from seeing peace and reconciliation growing right out of rage and anger and violence. It doesn't go like this every time, but I have still seen peace grow like this with my own eyes countless times. Alright, so let's get back and look at the 3 steps. Let's look into how to intervene this circle of violence. The question we seek to answer is how we can get into the center of the conflict so we can transform the violence to mutual understanding and cooperation. In this process, we seek to connect with some basic needs that we all have in common. When we connect with these needs, it becomes clear to us how we share the same humanity. And when we are connected to our common humanity, then we cannot harm each other because we know that every time we harm another person, then we hurt our own humanity. So the first step addresses how to engage individually with the parties. Here I find these questions powerful to motivate the parties to start talking with me. What has someone said or done that has been painful for you? How are you right now in relation to what happened? What good reasons did you have to act like you did? Very often I have found people in conflict really want to answer these questions. They are desperately looking for empathy and understanding. They really want to tell me. And then my intervention has started. Okay, so once we connected to each individual party in the conflicts, I want to invite them to meet together. And again, I'd find a certain set of questions supportive in relation to help the parties to see the possible benefits of participating in a restorative circle or mediation. These questions help them to start imagining the possibilities and power of meeting their needs for understanding and empathy. And they go like this. What would you like the other side to know about you and the harm their actions have stimulated in you? What would you like the other side to know about you and your good reasons to act like you did? How would it feel like if they really truly understood you? And the last step doesn't involve me. It grows out of mutual understanding and desire to cooperate. The very essence of all of this work as a mediator is empathy, to ask and to listen. I listen with a focus on what is alive in them. I am present with their experience instead of my own, and my intention is to listen and to understand until I can feel their experience as if it was my own. Empathic connection like this is an extremely powerful intervention into all kinds of violence. Because the thing is this, when people feel truly heard and understood, then it becomes clear to them that violence is a poor and destructive choice to meet their needs. Violence cannot grow out of empathy. Only compassion, joy, and peace can grow from empathy. And by engaging with conflicts and violence like this, I do my little part of supporting a future for my 2 girls with less violence. And I hope you will join me. Thank you for watching.